Hello. I will start shortly. I'm just finishing up my food. So about 5 minutes and we are going to start. So we'll be getting started in 1 minute. I'm going to show you how to do the standard end games. Also how to set up and do your own end games. this is how you practice, okay? This is also how you can do your homework at home on an iPad or whatever tablet you have if you don't want to bring out the chessboard. Nope, we are ready to start in like 50 seconds, 30 seconds, counting down. So any questions or comments, you can simply just type them in on the right side of the video. Okay, so on your own time, when you're studying your end game, now, when I ask the children to do the end game, they keep saying again, like this is a one-time lesson. End games are forever, okay? You will easily forget them like some of you have. That's why we got to do this live stream. You guys have been forgetting your end games because you don't practice them, meaning they are not a one-time lesson. They're continuous. Now, you don't have to do them every day, but you have to do them like once every often to make sure you're still quick or still know it. You still know everything you need to know. So if you look at the website that I have right there, livechess.org, and you'll have the screen right here. This is how you start your practice on end games or whatever you want to practice, openings. You see this feature right here, tools? You will go to tools. You will select board editor. Now, from board editor, you will always get a full game, okay? If you want to clear the board, you will select this tab right here where it says board editor. You will click clear position. If you want to work on your opening, you will click starting position. If you want to work on black or you want to be black in your opening, just simply click flip board. You still got to play white's perspective, but here we are playing black. Then you could continue from here if you want the computer to take over. Maybe you're stuck at a move and you want to know what the computer will do. Continue from there. Okay. So we're going to clear the board. And we're going to do staircase first. Well, let's do it like this. So whichever way you want to chase the king, he can only be checkmated on the A file. You see A right here, this is the A file. This is number 1, this is the first rank. Okay, this is number 8, this is the 8th rank. And you see the letter H, this is the H file. The king can only be checkmated on one of these squares on the files and ranks of the H file, A file, 8th rank, and first rank. You cannot checkmate the king with those two rooks any other way, especially with an open board, like how we see. Now, when you're doing your end games, you must always add your king. So there should always be two kings on the board. Just keep your king far away from theirs, so it won't be a distraction or in the way. Now, what is the process? The process is we want to checkmate the king on the 8th rank. One of these squares. Correction. One of these squares, because the king can't get over here, because your rook is there. So it would be one of these squares right here. One of these 5 squares. The king is not going to voluntarily go there himself because he knows that's how the game is going to end. So he's going to try to stay in the middle of the board because he knows that a checkmate cannot happen in the middle of the board or anywhere but the eighth rank in this position. So you have to cut off the board and then attack the king. You only attack the king after the board is cut off. He can't. Well, how do you know if a board is cut off? It's when he can't go backwards. So since we're trying to chase him up here, that means this is going up, right? So if he's going this way, that's going backwards. Right now he can't go backwards because we're cutting off the board. He can only go upwards, or he can stay on one of these squares unless we chase him off. So since both rooks are cutting off the board, we don't need both there. One rook can check the king. Either one can do it. Okay, it doesn't matter. So let's go check. This rook cuts off the board. This rook attacks the king. And you'll do this over and over and over. The king gets out of check. Now this rook is cut off the board. This rook gives a check. Check. And each time he cut the board off and attack the king, he gets closer and closer and closer and closer to the 8th rank, which is the checkmate squares. Okay, which are the checkmate squares. So this rook cuts off the board because the king can't go backwards. So we check him. He's over here. Now he cuts off the board. He can't go backwards again. So the other rook that's doing nothing checks the king. Okay, so the closer rook is always the rook cutting off the board, and the rook that's furthest from the king is always the rook that has to check the king or do something. So the king is here. That's a safe square to check him. Check. As you can see, board is cut off. We're attacking every square. The king and every square he can have access to. We're forcing him to one of these 3 squares. Check. And then the same thing over and over. Checkmate. So if you want to start your position over, you get the trash can, you can select every piece. Or just touch it with your finger if you have a tablet. If you have a mouse, the trash can will come up. If you don't have a mouse, the trash can will not come up. You just click the trash can and just tap the piece, it'll disappear. And then when you want to move select another piece, just click it. So king over here, out the way. Here, here, and here. Now, what if the king is over here? The moving your rook here wouldn't make any difference because you're not cutting off the board. You got to cut off the board from where the king is at. He's here. He wants access to these squares. Okay, he's not thinking about this right here. He's not thinking about that. Well, he would like to get there, but right now he can't get there in 2 moves. He can only get there in 2 moves. He can't get there in 1 move. So we want to cut the board off wherever the king is at. Since he's here, the board has to be cut off here. If the king is here, you got to cut the board off here. So whatever he's at, you want to be right under him with a rook. Boom. Board is cut off. And we're on the 4th rank. He's on the 5th rank. If he moves to another number, since we're going up the numbers, that's the indication you must cut the board off. Cut the board off. Cut the board off. Cut the board off. And then checkmate. Okay, one more time. We cut the board off. He attacks the rook. What do you do now? Do you check him? No, because this rook will then be unprotected. The king can capture the rook. All right. So what you want to do is, this is called double protect. But you don't move this rook out the way because he needs to cut the board off. All right. What you do is you just double protect. That's also a waiting move, but that's a double protection. Now, if he goes here, this rook right here is still doing his job. That means he can check. If the king goes up, then one rook has to cut the board off. It certainly wouldn't be this one because he's unprotected. The king could capture him. So you must pay attention to where the king is at all times. So we cut the board off with this rook or that rook. This rook. He goes up again. Which rook again? This rook. Not this rook. He will be captured. The king moves over here. Now you don't cut the board off again because you already have one rook cutting the board off. So again, you have to pay attention to the puzzle at all times. You have to know where your rooks are at and where the king is at all times, and don't rush your move. Figure it out. Okay, figure the puzzle out first. Solve the puzzle. So we'll check the king. He will attack you, protect. He goes up. Do you check the king? What do? You cut the board off with the safer rook. This rook is safe. He goes up again. Take your time. It's no rush. Move the rook up again. Now, if you want to practice yourself, but you want the computer to do all the moves, then you simply do something like this. Put the rook here, put the king there, and you'll go from here. Continue from here. Play with the computer. Make sure it's on level 8. Do not cheat yourself. If it's on one of these levels, it will not help you. Okay? It's about getting better. Make sure that number 8 is selected green. This is the king you want to use. Select the white king, and here we go. So he's attacking me. Do I check him? Do I move this rook, or do I protect my rook? Protection. He's up. You see this right here? We got to cut the board off. We got to cut the board off again, but this wouldn't be the rook. The king would just capture you, okay? So you got to be very careful. All right, so let's do this. He's attacking you, so be careful. Cut the board off. All right. Now, do we check him? Do we check him? No. We have to just protect this square. It's a waiting move. We just double cut the board off. It's a waiting move. Once he moves, boom. This is not a checkmate because he'll come down. So this rook is cutting the board off. You don't check him with this rook because you're unprotected. You'll get captured. So it's protection, another waiting move, and then it's checkmate. Okay, so that's how you do it. Now we're going to go back. Chess.org. Remember, go to Tools, select Board Editor. Come back. If you want to practice your opening, you'll start here. Okay. If you want to work on an end game, hit Board Editor, clear board. If you're done with the end games and you want to work on your opening, you click Board Editor and you click Starting Position. Okay. But this is the end game lesson, so clear board. Now the queen, king versus king. King here. Queen here, king here. Again, you should always want the computer to make the move. So for the defense, for the black king, not for you. Click continue from here. Click play with the computer. Make sure it's on 8. Select your king. You're the white side. So it's our go. When you click continue from here, it's always your go first. So what you want to do is you want to move the queen closest possible to the king without going past them. All right. So these two squares would be no good. This would be no good. He can capture you if you reach any of those three squares. So we stay here. We stay in the L shape. L shape position. Now, if you notice, we're in an L shape position here. But we have to cut the board off. So this is invalid. This is the true L shape because we're cutting the board off. So you do this over and over and over. He leaves the file. He's on E now. So we take the last current file in the L shape position. L shape. L shape. L shape. Continue the pattern. If you memorize the pattern, you'll be able to do this very, very fast. Maybe 10 seconds. Like that. Now, what you don't do is move here. If you move in the L shape, so again, remember the pattern, remember the puzzle. When the king's in the last square up top, you don't do L shape. If I move my queen here, it's a stalemate because I'm blocking all of the king's squares. He can't go to any square. So these are his choices. And they are all blocked by the queen. If my queen is here, by the way. I can attack here, here, and there. So pay attention don't be in a rush. Always look at the puzzle. Every time the king moves, it's a new puzzle. Try to solve it. That means take your time and look around for the correct answer. So here, you leave your queen here. Once the king is in a corner, you make sure you cut the file off, but you don't move close enough where it will be a stalemate. So then your king comes close and close and close. Closer and closer. You want to move the king close enough, but not, don't waste any moves. We don't need to move here or here. This square is good enough to protect the queen when she goes here. And that will be the stalemate square because she'll be blocking all of the king squares. Checkmate. Okay. Again, tools, board editor, clear board. Oh, clear board. Let's do that one more time. So we'll go, if you want to play black, that's okay. You can switch colors, but you have to do one key thing. And that is you must select, if you want the white king to move, then keep it as, so we'll do this. Let's put the king there. Let's keep it as white to play. That means he's going to move. All right. Now it's going to say continue from here, play with the computer. And this time you'll select black because you have chosen the black side. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the board to make it a little more interesting. All right. So let's go. Close the file, L shape, close in the squares, close in the ranks, close the file. So you're either closing the file or you're closing the rank. Closing the rank. The ranks are numbers, the files are the letters. Okay, so we're closing the ranks. He's on a new file, so we have to go to a new file. If he's on a new rank, we go to a new rank. So we're just playing matching. Now, once you get here, be careful. L shape, you're fine as long as he's not there. L shape. Now he's going to go here. This one, you don't move your queen closer. You leave her there. Matter of fact, you could put your queen here. You don't have to even go here. Anywhere here is good because you're blocking the whole G file. you're cutting the board off. You're leaving the king just to the H file. If you're not sure if it's a stalemate, then put your queen all the way at the top of that last file and just move your king closer and closer. Same thing. Just move your king closer and closer to the opponent's king. Okay. Checkmate. All right, now we'll touch on King Rook. This seems to be the Achilles to most chess players, beginners. Board editor, clear board, King, Rook, King. Okay. So the whole goal of this endgame is to cut the board off. When you have a rook and a queen on the board, they are always cutting the board off. Okay. So just know you have to cut the board off. Now we're trying to checkmate the king on the H file right here. So that means we have to cut the board off going towards the H file. Now, with that being said, the rook is already cutting the board off. So don't move your rook. He's doing his job. He moves for other reasons. What you're going to do is you're going to keep the files pretty much connected. So you see my king is on A, the rook is on B, and their king is on C. It's A, B, C. If this king goes to D, then you're trying to make it B, C, D. You're trying to just make it connect at all times, the letters. If he's on E, you're trying to make it C, D, E. If he's on F, you're trying to make it D, E, F. If he's on G, you're trying to make it E, F, G. If he's on H, you're trying to make it F, G, H. What I mean the position. If the king is on F, you want your rook on E and your king somewhere on D. If this king goober is on G, you want your rook somewhere on F and your king has to be on E. So we have the E, F, G. Okay, so let's do this. Now, it's going to be our go. Let's do continue from here. Play with computer. Same process over and over. Leave it on 8. Click your king. So our rook is cutting the board off. Leave him alone. You want to move your king towards this king, but on your file. You don't ever go across your rook. Your rook's always in the middle between the kings. So you want to get close to that king just on your own file. So you're on A, stay on A. You see, he moved to a new file. He's on D. So we want to connect the king, rook, and king on B, C, D. So we want our rook here and our king somewhere on B. So we want B, C, D. So he's on the D file, cut off the file he just left. He's on the E file, cut off the file he just left. Again, it's just about paying attention. It's not really hard. He's on the F file, cut off the E file. Okay, he didn't leave this file, but he's attacking your rook. Just save your rook. Go to the furthest square possible, which will be E8. All right, so he left the file again. He's on G. Let's take that one. I doubt if he goes to the H file because that's the checkmate square. Now, we're cutting off the file, and the king is on G. So we start to move our king towards his king. But again, we do not cross our rook. Okay, so our king could be anywhere here. We're always behind our rook, and the rook is always behind their king. So let's get our king closer and closer towards their king. They're attacking your rook, save it. Furthest square as possible. So your rook is always at the top or bottom. Now we're going to move our king towards theirs. And here we have it. Now you're not going to go here because that's called opposition, all right? You don't form opposition. What you do is you're trying to create an L-shaped position. So we have E, F, G. L-shaped, almost like the queen and king. So this is really just queen, king, and staircase mixed together. This is called opposition. This is direct opposition. It's when the kings face each other with one square in the middle. Our king is blocking 1, 2, 3. So the enemy king, because we're in opposition, he does not have access to 3 squares. Our king is blocking him. If he wants to stay on the G file, he only has access to G and number 6, the 6th rank G6 and G4. All right, he only has access to G6 and G4. So since we're already blocking these three, we have to attack these two with our rook. The king is doing his job in opposition. He's blocking 3 squares. So our rook has to attack these 2 squares. Check. That's where your rook goes. That's called checking in opposition. Now the king's over here. Don't be quick to move. Don't put your king here. That's opposition. You don't create opposition ever. You let their king walk into opposition. You must create an L shape. L shape. If you attack your king, what's the rule? Go to the furthest square away from him, which is always the top or bottom. Now notice that we are already in opposition. Again, the rule is never put your king in opposition. You want their king to move here, okay? That's called opposition. But since this is our go, we just do a waiting move the rook 1 square. If he runs from us, we just keep creating the L shape. And now he's forced to go to the oppositional square, H2, and now the kings are at opposition. So we just deliver a checkmate. We're blocking the 3 squares where he would like to have access in opposition. We're blocking all 3. So that means he only has access to 2 other squares, H1 and H3, and the rook will take care of those squares. Checkmate. So again, this is the end game you want to practice over and over and over. And you can also just mix it up to make it tougher on you, because you never know which angle you have to do your opposition with the king and rook. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes your king will be here. Yeah, let's go up. Your king is here. Your rook is here. Their king is here. And we got to chase them to the 8th rank. So we're blocking. Okay, we're blocking. So this is very tricky, because now we are blocking the 3rd rank. We're no longer blocking files. So that means your king does not go up to towards your rook. He's going to go towards the king this way. You see, because we're already blocking the 3rd rank. The king wants to come down. So we're chasing the king of ranks now. So it's all about ranks. So don't get confused. All right, so let's continue from here. And here we go. The rook's doing his job. He's blocking the entire 3rd rank. The king is he's stuck on the 4th rank. Okay. And he only has access to 4th, 5th ranks. Okay. He can eventually get to the 6, 7, 8, but he can never get to the 3rd, 2nd, or 1st rank because our rook cutting off the board. So our king start going towards that king, but never in front of our rook. The king left the rank, you take the rank. That's called cutting the rank off. He didn't leave the rank, so you don't move your rook. This is the L shape. Okay, create the L shape. That's called opposition. What do we do here? Our king is doing his job. He's blocking the 3 squares. The king has access to 2 others if he wants to stay on the 5th rank, but we're trying to eject him towards the 6th rank because then he's getting closer and closer to the 8th rank. Check. He attacks you. So this time you're going that way. Okay. We're keeping control of the 5th rank. Our king will move into an L-shaped position. That's called opposition. So what we do, rook checks. L shape. So he's going to try to avoid the oppositional check. Oh, no, he didn't. Check. He's going to go here. L shape. Save your rook and look at this crazy position. We're already in L shape. Remember, the rule is don't move your king because your king is trying to get into this position of L shape. It's the rook's move. It's the waiting move. It's not a check. L shape. L shape and checkmate. All right. Now we'll do Bambi. You go to tools, board editor, clear the board because we're doing end games. Now the end game, you want to keep your king. If you're doing Bambi, you want to keep your king on the 3rd rank if you're white, 6th rank if you're playing black. So let's play black. All right, let's flip this board. And you want your king at least on the F file, E file, D file, C file only. Don't practice on the B file or A file because it gets tricky. The rules changes and you're close to a stalemate. So king pawn versus king. Now, how about this? Because I want to show you something. We're going to play white. Put the king on the 3rd rank and the pawn on the 2nd rank and the king in opposition. Now, if you do the standard setup, click for here, play computer, select your king, you will not win because remember, when you continue from here, it's your go. In Bambi, you can't win if it's your go in opposition. The rule in opposition is whoever moves loses. Okay, so you need the black king to move. So what you can do is you can put the king already here. That means he moved already, or you can put him here and then continue from here. Then it's your go. That's okay. You can win that game. But if you want the king to move, you can just go to black to play. You want black to play because you want the king to move first so you can win. Then you press continue for here and do everything else normal. And then the black king will move. Watch. You see? He moved out of opposition. That's why I said when you're playing white, you can already put the black king in this position or here, and then it will be your go because you're saying the king already moved, now it's your go. But you can't win if this goober is here, and it's your go. So the rule is wherever he goes, we go the opposite way, but we take the rank. So he's here, but you always move your king up. So he's on the 5th rank, and he went left. We opposite, and this is also called the L shape. So we're trying to keep an L-shaped position. Now, here's the rule. You don't go L-shape again. You have to look at the king as patterns, okay? The king is on the same file as your pawn. So what you do is you interpose your king between your pawn and the enemy king. But you don't go backwards, remember? You just go here. So you recreate opposition, forcing that black king to move first. He moved again out of opposition. So now we can move up. L-shape. He's in front of your king again, so we get in front of him, creating opposition over and over and over. L shape, advance up, interpose. Now, if you're white, you're in the 6th rank, you no longer move your king if you're in front of your pawn, only if you're in front of your pawn. If your king's over here, no, you don't move your pawn. And if you're black, your king stop at the 3rd rank and then you move your pawn, but you got to be in front of your pawn. Okay, so I'm in front of my pawn so I can move it. It moves twice. You don't move it once. Okay, so keep moving the pawn until it can't move anymore. And then what do you do now? You don't go here. We don't go sideways. We keep the pattern. You go up, L shape, and now your king is blocking all 3 squares. So your pawn can easily access all 3. Check, move out the way. Okay. And queen, please. Check. Tools, board editor. Actually, or you just you could just do clear board. You don't have to keep going to tools, board editor. You could just press select board editor, and clear board. So now I'm gonna do it for black. So let's say if I want the king over here, that means he already moved. So now if you're playing black, I want to move now because he moved already. He's over here. Continue from here, play computer, select your king, make sure it's on level 8. Otherwise, you won't really, oh, okay, we don't want that. So board editor, clear board, flip board. Let's try it one more time as black. Black can be tricky. Okay, so we want black to, oh, okay, I know what happened. So we want black to play. I made one mistake. We have to select the black king. There. Now I can move. L shape. Interpose your king between the enemy king and your pawn, L shape. Now, he did something different. You never go L shape when he's in front of your pawn, okay? That's key to remember. We don't go L shape here. What you do is you just move your king up and create opposition. So any chance you can create opposition, just keep doing it. Because you force him to move out of opposition, and therefore you create your L shape. Now our king does not move. We're in the 3rd rank for black. The black pawn moves twice and then move until he can't move anymore. Move your king to L shape, advance it forward, and now the pawn just goes all the way up. Okay, so far we did staircase, we did queen, king, and now we just did Bambi. If you missed these, then once the live stream stops, you can just revisit the video, start from the beginning. I'm not gonna make a long video. I got one more end game I want to introduce to you, and that's called, this is like the hardest end game that you're gonna learn as a beginner or intermediate or advanced. Most people can't even do it. People are very, very good cannot do this end game. So let me first share this one with you. King, well, this is called duck, duck, goose. Okay. Now here's what happens. If you do not, so let's continue. It's white to play. Watch this. If I do a move like this, he gets a queen, it's a draw. It's a draw game. Okay. Because he got a queen, and you can't win unless you do a mistake, a bogus mistake. Like, I can't even do it. I'm not, oh, like this. If you do that, then you're gonna lose. Okay. Well, you're not gonna lose. You just draw a game. Draw. A half and a half. Half point each. So it's a draw game. You don't lose, but you were in a winning position and you lost the game because it was your game to win. So let's go back. Let me show you what happened. Clear board. So we have black here. So basically, you cannot let black pawn promote. Black's pawn promote to get a queen because it's really a draw. Can't win. So this is a pattern again. I'm not going to stay on this one too much because this wasn't part of the lesson. This is advanced endgame. So we check the king, and you keep checking him until he gets away from that pawn. Like that. Then we attack the pawn. He's going to protect it, so we check him again. Then we attack the pawn. Attack pawn, check. Check. He will go here. Now, the pawn can't promote, so we can move our king now. So you only move your king when you only move your king when that king blocks your blocks his own pawn from promoting. So you must check him at all times. Check the king. Don't give him a move because he will queen. Check him. Okay, check him. Check him. until he separates from the pawn, like that, and then attack the pawn. He'll go here, check him, then he'll go under the pawn. That's when your king moves, because he can't promote. That's all. Just keep checking him until he gets under the pawn. But it's a pattern though. Check. Really? Check. I said check. Attack the pawn. I'm just checking. He'll go under the pawn and you move your king close. We're getting closer and closer. What you're going to try to create is a twofold attack on the pawn. All right, the goober's over there now. Okay, check. Really? Check. Once he separates from the pawn, you attack the pawn every time. I'll take that. So that's how you do this endgame. So this endgame is pretty tricky, but I just showed you how to do it. It's not that hard, but this one is hard. You want to talk about pattern recognition. Knight, bishop, and king versus the black king. So you don't want to set the king up here too close to the edge. You always want to do F file or B file, or if you're doing sideways, do 6th rank or 3rd rank. Sideways is very hard to do. But if this is the setup. King, knight. King, bishop. That is always the setup, no matter how you want to do it. You want to do it from the side of the board, like this. Same setup. You want to do it from the down. Same setup. And once you learn from the angle I'm going to teach you, you want to practice it, and you want to practice from all angles. Side of the board, knight, king, bishop. Now, if you don't know this pattern, you will definitely not win, and it will be a stalemate because you have 50 moves to checkmate this goober. All right. So if your bishop is white, you can only checkmate the king in the white corners. Okay. So that means that if this goober sneaks over here or here, the dark corners, you can't checkmate him with a light square bishop. So of course he wants to stay over here because there's no checkmate. There's no possible way. So what you got to do is force the goober there. Hey, move. Force him here or here. Okay. So with that being said, he has only 2 moves, here or here. Which square do we want him to go to? We want him to get closer and closer to that square. So of course it's going to be this square. But he's not going to move there voluntarily, so we just block. We have to block this square. Okay, got to block this square. So let's click continue from here. Now a lot of these moves, again, this is harder than Duck, Duck, Goose. Even Duck, Duck, Goose looked tricky. This is harder than Duck, Duck, Goose. Probably 4 times harder than Duck, Duck, Goose. I'll show you. So we want the king to head towards this corner where it's checkmate. So we got to block that corner. And also, the most important thing, in this position, even though the knight is here, that's still called opposition. You see? The kings are facing each other with 1 square separating them on the file or rank. This is a file. That's opposition. When the king is in opposition, we don't move our king, remember? We are going to block this square with our bishop, forcing the king over here closer to the checkmate square. Boom. Once the king moves out of opposition, we're going to use our knight. Our knight, see, he wants to go here. So our knight's going to come down below our king to block that square. So we move our king closer to that king. He can't go too far. So just take your time and try to remember the order of sequences. You just want to move your king closer to that king. You can't let him get too far from your king. Now, we're going to block this square and that square with the knight. So once your knight moves down below the king, he moves back up top. So the knight is blocking here and here. You want your bishop to move there to block this square. And by blocking that square, you're blocking this square and that one, okay? Leaving the king only to go to this square, that square, this square. He doesn't want to go there or that square, okay? So he doesn't want to go to any of these squares over here because that's the checkmate square. So he's going to try to go back towards the center and sneak away back over here. So let's first block this square, because if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble. You block that square. Now, you see, he moved down. So you need him to go back up. So what you're going to do is either to these two squares. Your knight is blocking this one, and your king is blocking that one and this one. So don't worry about those. Okay, so we do a waiting move. Bring your bishop up one. So we'll eliminate the square and that square. Okay, so we bring your bishop closer. He's blocking both squares. So your king is back in front of the knight. We put our king there. We're forcing opposition. Okay. So he moved out of opposition. We can do a waiting move, actually. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a waiting move. We're going to back our bishop up, forcing him to go back in opposition. Then we're going to take away that square, forcing him back over here. So it's like the beginning again. Knight goes down, king slides over. But we don't slide over because he went back right. So this bishop is blocking this square. We're in opposition, so your king is blocking the three squares that he wants access to. That means he only has access to this square. So it's our go. This is when the knight just checks him. He's going to attack the knight. We'll protect the knight. He's forced to go here. We're blocking that square and blocking this square. So we go under knight again. If he comes here, we'll check him. Check. So we are back in opposition. Remember, in opposition, your king doesn't move, and your knight can, but not in this position. If your knight's not there, your knight can move. But once your knight is in front of your king and is separating the kings from each other in opposition, you don't move your knight either. So your king does not move, and your knight does not move. Your bishop does a waiting move because you want to keep blocking that square. You want to force the goober to the checkmate square like this. And this is the only time your knight comes behind the king towards the right or backwards. Here, and that's only a waiting move. Check. And get out of that square. Checkmate. So I do it one more time. Board editor. Click board editor. You want to do endgame, you clear the board. If you want to do openings, you leave it right here. So if I want to do Queen's Gambit, here we go. If I want to just practice it, I'll play both sides and boom. Boom. Okay. But if I'm going to do endgame, I press clear board and let's put the setup again. Let's put it over. Let's do sideways. Okay, so remember, we have a dark square bishop, so the checkmate has to be here. It will not be there. All right, we can't checkmate them in a light square with a dark square bishop. So continue from here. We'll make it. How about this? We'll put them back over here, so you won't be confused, and we'll just do this. We'll make it a light square bishop again. It's gonna be boring. Dark square bishop, so that means we're gonna chase the goober this way, but we're gonna make it his go. So we're gonna do white to play. Continue from here, play with the computer. You're gonna be black. Make sure number 8 is selected, the highest level. Make sure your time limit is unlimited. You don't want to time. Yeah, I want that. Not yet, but you could challenge yourself later. Select black since we're playing black. And then we're ready. So he will move first. He moved first. He can't have access to this square because your knight's blocking that square. Your king's blocking this square, and your bishop is blocking this square. So we want to force him back to C8 here. So we have to do a waiting move. We can't give up ground. So since we're blocking everything towards the right, we will keep blocking everything towards the right by making the waiting move right there. Now, what's the rule in opposition with your knight in the middle? These two don't move. It's a bishop move again. So now we block this square with the bishop. Boom. Okay, so now the knight, let me flip the board for you. So the knight is here. We want to block this square with the knight because the king is trying to get out from the back rank. Once you do that, he's going to be out of this position. So your knight blocks that square. Bring your king closer. You can't let the king get too far from your king. Bring the king closer and your knight goes back here. Back there, and you're blocking this square and that square. Whoa, not that square. This square. This king wants to get to that square, the dark square, and that's crucial. You cannot let that happen. That's when your bishop comes in and blocks that square. So your knight and bishop together are blocking a bunch of squares. Okay, so this is when we bring, since the king went upwards, you want to take away this entire diagonal. By doing that, we're going to block even more squares. The knight's blocking these two. If you bring your bishop there, we're blocking those as well, leaving the king to just here, not there, here and here, back towards the 8th rank. Boom. Once the king gets in front of your knight, you put your king in front of and back behind the knight to create opposition. He's going to sneak there. Or will he go there? Okay. So remember, we have the perfect position. Your knight is blocking that square. Your king is blocking that square. And your bishop is blocking that square. So you don't give up ground. You just do a waiting move. So now you want to force him back towards this square and this position. This is how we start the game off. So you got to block that square with your bishop. And then we are back at it. Knight goes down here to block that square. Now, this is the opposition where your knight actually moves. Okay, remember, your knight does not move if it's here in front of your king. Okay, it doesn't move when it's here. It's a bishop's move. But if the knight's not here, the knight can move now. In opposition, your king never moves, by the way. The bishop's doing his job. The king is doing his job. He's blocking the last 3 squares. We want to force his goober here. So the knight, this is when the knight checks him. Then you protect your knight with your king. He can't go here. The knight blocks that square. See? So he's forced to go here. Our king keeps going towards the right, blocking that square. So now he has access to those 2 squares. No problem. If he goes there, we check him. Now look, guys, this is opposition with the knight in between. So the king or knight does not move. It's a bishop's move, but you stay blocking the square. It's a waiting move. Boom. Remember, this is the only time the king goes backwards. It's the only time the knight goes backwards when the white king is in the corner. The last square in the corner, the knight goes backwards, only for a waiting move. Just to check the king. Check. Checkmate. So that's pretty much it. Those are the standard and required end games you should know. You got to know those end games. Okay, so this right here teaches you peace cooperation. Now we do have a 2 bishop versus king in the game that we could do later for fun. I've never in my life been in that position, 2 bishops and a king versus a king. That's why I stopped teaching it, because that position never came up. But it's good for black. But it's good for practice to do peace cooperation. Okay, so black. So we clear the board. So we had a black square bishop. Let's do a light square bishop. Let's put the king on C. Knight. King. Bishop. So this is the setup all times. Even if the king's over here, same thing. If he's at the bottom, same thing. And guys, after you master this endgame, you want to learn how to checkmate it from all 4 angles, the bottom, top, and the sides. The sides are very hard, but with practice, you will learn that as well. Okay, so let's go over here. again, if your bishop is light, you got to pay attention, because when I first learned this, I wasn't paying attention to the color of my bishop, and I couldn't checkmate him, and I couldn't figure out why until I looked at my bishop and said, "Oh my God, I'm in the wrong corner. I'm trying to checkmate the king over here. It's not going to happen with a white square bishop. It's not going to happen, because your bishop has to attack the king at some point when he's here. If he's here and your bishop cannot attack him, it can't be a checkmate, because your bishop either attacks him and forces him to go here, or delivers a checkmate, as you just seen. So let's do this. Let's make it so you want to play black, and you want it to be your go. You cannot have white to play. So this button right here, whatever color it says to play, that's the color that has to move. So if the computer is white and it says white to play, and you start the game, he has to move, and he's going to move, right? So we want to move. So we want to do black to play. And since we're playing black, you have to select, first select continue from here, play with computer, make sure it's on level 8, and select your black king. Okay, you cannot select white, because then the computer is going to be black. So we're upside down. All right, so it should automatically clear up. So let me know when the screen is back clear. I'll start over since the screen got blurry. So let me do this. And let me know if the screen is back clear, so you can see it. Okay. So again, you want to challenge yourself in all the edges of the board. Hey, move out the way. That's set up on the side of the board, the bottom of the board, and the side of the board. This is always the setup. So we're going to do this. We're going to put the king over here. Again, I don't want white kings to move. I don't want white king to move first. I want to move first. So I'm going to select it off to black to play. And since I'm the black side, I'm going to select continue from here, play with computer. And then I'm going to select the black king. Those are the pieces I chose. Flip the board. Now, we have a light square bishop, so a checkmate cannot be here. Only here. When you pay attention to the board, you're going to notice that the king can't go here or here or here. He can only go here. So again, this is about patterns and recognition of the setup, the position. So I know he can only go here. So I don't want to lose my position. Why would I move any of these pieces when they're doing their job? So I do a waiting move. I'm going to force the king into opposition. And remember, when you're in opposition with your knight involved, neither piece moves, okay? Neither piece moves. The bishop moves. And that's to block this square, to force the king towards the checkmate square. Okay? That's the goal. Hey. So bishop blocks square, king goes here, everything else is blocked. Knight goes behind the king, but towards the checkmate square to block that square, to keep the king on the back rank, which worked. Now our king moves over. So once your knight goes behind the king towards the checkmate square, and we force the king towards the checkmate square, then your king must move over. You cannot let the king go too far, so we create the L-shaped position, like we learned all day. The king's here. Don't worry about that square. He can have that square. You can't let him have these two squares, the dark squares. So we will bring the knight back forward towards the checkmate square again. We cannot let the king have access to the light squares, so your bishop must come into play. Okay, now he's towards us. This is like an opposition position. So we move our bishop close because why? Your knight's doing a job, is blocking the squares. Your bishop's doing a job. He's blocking that square. So the king is only, and our king is blocking these squares, okay? So this king can only go from this position here or here. So we don't want to give up ground, so we just make a waiting move. Then we take that square now and that square away from him. So the knight is blocking this square and that square, and the bishop will take the rest. So he does not want to go towards the checkmate square. Now, had the king moved, let's say, well, he had no choice. So he was either here or here. All right, so we create opposition. This is the setup. Remember this, guys? This is the setup. So remember, they're doing their jobs. The knight is blocking this square, your king's blocking that square, and the bishop's blocking this square. So the king only can move back this way. So we do a waiting move. Take your time with this endgame. This is called opposition again. Remember, look, opposition include the knight. That means these two do not move. The bishop blocks that square, forcing the king towards the checkmate square, which he's getting close to. Once he gets out of check, not check. Once the king moves out of opposition, it's always a knight's move. Knight goes back to block that square. And look at this goober king. He can't go here and here and here because of our king. He can't go here because of our bishop. So that's a clue that it's not a bishop's move and it's not a king's move. It's a knight's move. But we have to force the king this way. So we check him. It looks weird, but that's the move. Then your king protects your knight. He can't go here or here. The knight blocks those squares, so he's forced there. So your king goes back behind the knight. That's a check. He can't go here. The knight blocks him. He's back in opposition with the knight included, so they don't move. It's the bishop moves, waiting move. And this is, so once he's in a corner, this is the only time your knight goes behind the king, but away from the checkmate square. It's a waiting move. Then the knight comes back to check the king, and the bishop delivers the checkmate. So the king blocks that square, the knight blocks that square, so we just give a checkmate. So staircase, I went over staircase, I went over king, queen. Those you should know. If you don't know those and you've been in chess class for a month or more, definitely more than a month, that's a problem. So you need to know staircase. You need to know queen, king, definitely. King, rook can get tricky. I went over that, studied that. And I went over Bambi, king, pawn versus king. I went over a bonus endgame, which is duck, duck, goose. I call it that. And now the most famous for being the toughest endgame for intermediate beginners into some advanced players, king, knight, bishop versus king. Study these endgames where you'll be pretty fast, because the goal to do these endgames pretty fast. You want to do this knight, bishop, king endgame in about 15 to 20 seconds. You want to do king, rook takes a little while, so I'll say 20 to 30 seconds for that one. Queen, king, you can do that in about 10 seconds, 15 the most. And staircase, that can be done in 10 to 15 seconds. So practice often and you won't forget these endgames. Then when you prove to me that you know these endgames very well, we can go to more advanced endgames, like this right here. So let's get rid of that. Hey, I said get rid of it. Board editor, clear board. So you have an endgame like this: king, bishop versus queen, bishop. And we are the queen, we are the winning side. All you gotta do is keep your queen off the light square, so the bishop cannot attack you, and it's an easy game. Okay. Real quickly, watch this. White, it doesn't matter. White to play, continue from here. I'll play black. So I'm just gonna get my king close to their king. That's all. Hey, I'm gonna use my queen to cut the rank off. Now I can check here or there. Okay, watch this. Check. Then my king moves up. And then my queen moves up. See? Check. So then your king just stay on dark squares. Check. Then move your king around. Oh. Check. So I made one minor mistake. It's okay. Check. Gonna get my king over there. Check. Check. Get back over there. It can't be a stalemate, so my queen can actually come close and close and close. Okay, it will be a checkmate. They're gonna try to sacrifice the bishop. I don't want to take it. Checkmate. I don't want that. So I'm gonna get away. Okay, so you cannot take that bishop. Hey, let that bishop stay right there. But check, okay, all right, check. Let me have the bishop or checkmate. Give me that. Okay, now it's queen, king, checkmate. So he was forced to give me the bishop. That's why I went back over here. I went back over here because I knew I had checkmate here. So he had a choice to let me have the bishop or save the bishop and I checkmate the king here. So that's another thing you can work on. Just keep the queen and king on the dark squares. I believe you can solve this without me even teaching you this. This is just very easy. Just keep the king and queen on dark squares. Now, most people who watch my videos on this end game give me the most credit. They say I taught this the best, even compared to chess books and other chess videos. So we deal with king, knight versus queen, king. This is very tricky because this knight can fork you if it gets here. And you will lose your queen. Most of these end games. Why not cut off with the queen? You can do that. Okay. I'm just freestyling. I haven't done these end games in many years. So I'm just freestyling. Here, this is a particular pattern. Again, let's see. So I want you to see something real fast. This comment says, as others have said, this is the best video about this subject on YouTube or possibly anywhere. So people are crediting me that I taught the best endgame anywhere. The second comment says, this is the best endgame queen versus knight I have ever watched. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. So you can go to my, I think it's on there, but all this is just praises from people who appreciate the way I taught the queen, king endgame because I teach in patterns. So I teach this in patterns. This is never taught. I'm the first. This is 2000. This is January 2011, 2018. There's no lesson on this that's before this date, 2008. I'm the first person to teach the Queen King in a pattern position. There's no other video like this. There's no book like this that's before 2018, January 11th. I'm the first teacher. I'm the first instructor. So I teach it in 4 patterns, 1 and 2. And I teach it as a, hey, press play. And 3 and 4. And these are the other patterns that I teach. So I teach it in 4 patterns. And anybody can solve this. A 5-year-old can solve this if they remember my patterns. So a lot of these end games I freestyle on the spot. Like if I try to do knight bishop, versus the king from this position, I will mess up a few times, but I will definitely do it because I haven't practiced in many years. But I know I can do it still because I recognize the pattern. So I will forget here and there, but overall, I have done it so much in my life that eventually it will click. And then I'll checkmate the king. So you can cut the king off with the queen. You can do whatever you want. If it works out for you, then do it. But these are the standard end games, not the knight queen versus or king knight versus queen king. That's not standard. That's advanced. And not king bishop versus king queen. That's advanced. Staircase, queen king, Bambi, duck duck goose, knight bishop, and king versus king. Those are the standard requirements. You gotta learn all those. All right. So I don't want to make the video too long because some goobers are whoever missed this video is gonna go back and watch it. I don't want to make it too long where it's like watching the Titanic, the movie. So I'm gonna end it here and I will probably come back on tomorrow or next week to go over the openings, right? The Bob's opening, the Wayward Queen, the Scholar's Mate, the Fried Liver, the Queen's Gambit, the King's Gambit, French Defense. What else is out there? What are my favorite openings? Sicilian Defense, Indian Defense. Okay. So I want to touch on all those because it's been a lot of confusion and people have not been studying the end games, but they think they're going to remember them in a game and they lose quickly because you have to put certain pieces in certain places precisely. Okay. This pawn has to move here, not there. If it moves there where it shouldn't be, that's not the defense, that's not the opening, and that could compromise the game for you. So everything got to be put in the exact square. Bishops, knights, everything. So it's going to be the same day. Definitely, it's always going to be Thursday or Friday. Thursdays or Fridays. And if it's ever Saturday or Sunday, because it could possibly be Sunday. Sunday's a slow day. It could possibly be a Sunday. It could possibly be this Sunday because I don't think I'm doing anything. So the live stream would not be tomorrow. It will probably be Sunday because I do want to touch on the openings. Definitely Wayward, Queens, Scholar's Mate, Fried Liver because I want to teach you the defense and how to recognize them before they even start. Yes, I will. So Sunday, possibly early Sunday before I start reading. I haven't started reading today. That's why I was able to do this video. Had I started reading, I'd have never probably stopped because I get addicted like you guys. Or I can't put the book down. So Sunday morning, I don't think I'd be reading that early. So I will message everybody, put the link in the chat. And I'm going to try to do this once every often so we can keep this in our memory. And remember, the final test is the chess clock. Do these end games on the chess clock. That's called under duress. That's called under the pressure. And that's real time. End games mean you played the full game. So you're left with a little bit of time. Sometimes more than enough. Sometimes 4 minutes. Sometimes 2 minutes. Sometimes 50 seconds. Yes. Okay. So Vid, you got duck, duck, goose. You got king, queen, king, knight, bishop. I showed you the king, bishop versus king, queen. That's very easy. Just keep your pieces on the opposite color. You guys can do that by yourself. Now the king, knight versus king, queen. You would need those 4 steps I showed you on the that you seen on the screen. Without those 4 steps, you still can do it, but you will make a lot of mistakes. With my 4 steps, you will always do it every time, all the time. It's like queen, king versus king. You can't mess that up. Okay, so I'm one of the only teachers out there teaching patterns only. Okay, I don't want you guys to think. I want you to just recognize the pattern, make the move, and that's it. So maybe Sunday morning, I will text everybody, let you know. But if not, if I don't do it Sunday morning, then definitely next Thursday or Friday around 6 o'clock. All right, so enjoy your night, eat your dinner, go to sleep. Whoever's coming in the morning, definitely get some sleep. Don't come in chess class yawning, all right? I'm gonna give you a punishment packet. All right, take care.